Hmm?
That cup is down there for you. That cup right there is for you. You see it?
Mic check 1 2. All right. Shalom, everyone, and welcome to Just a Word. This is Chazak Aliyahu Yasharal, and today we continue with our weekly Shabbat meetings. Welcome, everyone. Thanks to those who are visiting us for the first time. If you're wondering what we will do, we will have a detailed teaching on a particular topic. Hope you stay with us to the end to get exactly what we are going at today. I want to thank all those regular persons who are in the chat and who continue to be with us each and every day. First person on, Yah is my light and my sultry sounds. Shabbat shalom to you all. All right, today, as you see the topic, the burden of Yahusha. Are you on the true path to salvation? And this teaching is very, very, very essential because out there in the world, people are confused as to what salvation is really about. And when you really look at it, people actually do not know what is required. They do not know the true way to the Father. Some people believe that different types of religion is the way, and there is a conversation about the law, where what part does the law play? What part does the law play in our salvation? What do we do with the law now that we are seeking after Yahusha HaMashiach? We are going to look at all of that today. We are going to look at what prevents us from attaining unto salvation. And we are going to look at the true way, which is actually a burden, the burden of Yahusha, because we have been deceived by religion, as we keep saying week in, week out, of a way that is easy, of a way that we just do almost anything. We justify ourselves in certain ways. And last week we looked at 8 ways in which we block our way into the kingdom. 8 ways. And more specifically, last week, we looked at the dangerous problems of hypocrisy, self-deception, self-righteousness, and to a lesser extent, self-justification. So it is us, ourselves, who keep ourselves out. So the onus is on us to know and understand what is the true way. What is the true way that guarantees us eternal life? All right, so we begin with a problem that most of us have not counted the cost before we started to follow the way. Before we started to go after eternal life, we did not count the cost. Most of the time, though, it is because of false religion. Religion that just wants to get us into a building for us to pay tithes and offerings so they benefit from us. And most of us did not even stop to think about whether or not this is the true way. So because they want to hurriedly get us into a building and to convince us that their way is the way, they did not show us the true way and made us believe that there is no cost. All you have to do is believe and come to church and you're good. But what does it say starting in Luke 14:25 to 33?
And there went great multitudes with him, and he turned and said unto them, If any man come to me, and hate not his father, and mother, and wife, and children, and brethren, and sisters, Yea, and his own life also, he could not be my disciple.
He cannot be my disciple. So here we have a, what should you call it now? Contingency, qualification here. If you don't hate or love less all of these, you cannot be my disciple. And there's more. Verse 27.
And whosoever doth not bear his stake and come after me cannot be my disciple.
So if you do not pick up the trials, the problems, the burdens of Yahusha, if you do not pick up the burdens of Yahusha, you cannot be his disciple. So this is why many of us are in religion, because we have not been prepared to bear our stake, to pick up the problems, to bear the burden of Yahusha. So many of us are in religion going through routines, not knowing that in the end, a statement is awaiting us. Depart from me. I never knew you. Continue.
For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it?
Okay. Now, how many of us, when we started following the way, we counted the cost? How much is this going to require of me? And am I willing to give up what is needed for me to attain, to overcome in the end? How many of us? All right. Verse 28. No, verse 29.
Lest haply, after he hath laid the foundation, and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him, saying, This man began to build and was not able to finish.
Continue.
Or what king, going to make war against another king, sitteth not down first, and consulteth whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000?
Most of us did not count the cost. Most of us did not count the cost. We just jumped in, say we want to serve, we want to be believers, I want to be a Christian. That is what for most of us. We did not count the cost. Verse 32.
Or else, while the other is yet a great way off, he sendeth an ambassage and desireth conditions of peace. So likewise, whosoever he be of you that forsaketh not all that he hath, he cannot be my disciple.
Read 33 again, please.
So likewise, whosoever he be of you that forsaketh not all that he hath, he cannot be my disciple.
If you do not forsake everything you have, you cannot be his disciple. That is the cost. Are you willing? Have you ever stopped and made the decision that you are willing to forsake everything that you have? Now we come to the question. Immediately we go to the question. In following Yahusha, do we need to obey the Torah? This is a big question. Because when we come out of Christianity and we are told that we have to walk in obedience to the Father, the Torah comes up. But then what usually happens after the Torah comes up, after the law comes up, then the burden starts on people. And people usually start trying to figure out how to shed this burden. Because Hamashiach is going to tell you, we're going to show later, that the Torah is a burden that we must bear. So right away, we can tell you from the outset, when you are bearing the burden of Yahusha, and we're going to show verses, you also bear the burden of the Torah. So in following Yahusha, do we need to obey the law? Matthew 5:17 to 20.
Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For truly I say unto you, till Shamayim and Aretz pass, one yod or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of Shamayim. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of Shamayim. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of Shamayim.
And we are going to examine this more closely in the book of in the books of the Nazarene. He goes into more detail. In verse 17, he says, think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. And to fulfill there does not mean that he has come to cancel it. It means that he has come to satisfy, to accomplish it, to fully preach it, to perfect it, to make it complete. So we're going to look in the books of the Nazarene now on this to get more detail on this. But essentially what Hamashiach is saying, he did not come to destroy the law. So throwing the law aside is destroying the law. And we're going to see more and more of where the law, the part the law plays in our salvation. So in following Yahusha, we also need to bear the burden of the Torah. Let's go to the books of the Nazarene. What page is that? Page 93, verse 41 to 42. 41 to 42. Read, please.
I have not come to abolish the Torah or to change the teachings of the prophets, but to complete them, adding any necessary clarification and interpreting them to the understanding of men.
All right, so right away there, do we see any subtraction?
No.
He said what? Adding any necessary clarification and interpreting them to the understanding of men. So the Torah was not thrown away. The Torah is now being more easily explained to us so that we can interpret them as they should be interpreted, as they were meant to be interpreted by the Father. Continue.
But the time has come to ask, when will they be put into practice?
So does it sound as if we throw away the law?
No.
He's asking, when will the law be put into practice? Continue.
When will men bring Yahuwah out of the temple and make him a participant in their daily lives?
When will they bring Yahuwah out of the church and make him a part of their daily lives? This is the way. The way is a way of life, of righteousness, wherever you are. Religious people serve in a temple and are only righteous in a temple. Then when they leave the temple, they put on their worldly life. When will men?
When will men carry these things in their hearts and stop paying them lip service?
When will men carry these things in their hearts and stop paying them lip service? When will men make the law a natural part of their way of life and stop speaking? Because today, many people speak about the law. We talk about the law. You must obey the law. But all we do is speak. We do not actually make it a part of our day-to-day life. Verse 42.
I say with certainty, so long as earth and Shamayim above it remain, not even the smallest particle shall be deducted from the Torah until the purpose it serves has been completed.
So no subtraction from the Torah, only addition. And we're going to look at the example of the addition as well. Continue.
And the purpose that it serves is to help us differentiate between what is sin and what is righteousness.
We're going to look at that as well. Go ahead.
Therefore, if anyone try to avoid even the least obligation imposed by the Torah,
Stop. If anyone tries to avoid even the
least obligation,
least obligation imposed by the Torah, or to
set aside the slightest of its restrictions, or teach others to do the same, he will be an insignificant thing in the life to come.
all right. So if I'm telling someone now, the law is done away with, or you don't need to obey this law, you don't need to obey that. Oh, that law, you can ignore it. It says, if I try to avoid even the least obligation imposed by the Torah, or to set aside the slightest of its restrictions, or teach others to do the same, I will be an insignificant thing in the life to come. So you have some simple restrictions, like for example, the fringes. Wear the fringes on the borders of your garment. Many people are teaching people, oh, this is insignificant. You don't have to do this. The purpose of it is for you to walk in the commandments. You're already obeying the commandments. You don't need it. Problem. Continue. But whoever
lives by them, leading others to do likewise, will achieve the greatest heights of splendor.
All right, so that's it. So right away we established there, no law, we are in problems. And as Al-Shaddai just said, we cannot reject the Torah because the Torah shows us what is sin. So we do not sin. The law shows us what sin is, so we do not sin. 1 John 3:4.
Whosoever committeth sin, transgresseth also the Torah. For sin is the transgression of the Torah.
Sin is the transgression of Torah. So if you throw away the Torah, you will not know what sin is. You'll be walking in sin and not knowing. And you know, no unrighteous shall inherit the kingdom. That's 1 Corinthians 6:9-10. So if you are sinning, you cannot enter the kingdom. Romans 7:7.
What shall we say then? Is the Torah sin? Allah forbid. Nay, I had not known sin, but by the Torah. For I had not known lust, except the Torah had said, thou shalt not covet.
So the Torah is absolutely essential for us to know what sin is. Romans 3:20 again.
Therefore, by the deeds of the Torah, there shall no flesh be justified in his sight. For by the Torah is the knowledge of sin.
By the Torah is the knowledge of sin. The Torah is needed to let us know what sin is. So if you don't know what sin is, and sin still exists, what is going to happen? You are going to sin and not know. So that is why you need the Torah. And in order not to sin, you have to obey the Torah, the law. So the new covenant is actually what we need to understand. In the old covenant, the Most High spoke to his people through the prophets. In the new covenant, the Most High promises to give us of his Ruach, to give us of his spirit, and to place his spirit inside of our bodies. And by placing his spirit inside of our bodies, we will be able to walk out his law in the spirit. Jeremiah 31, verses 31 to 33. Jeremiah 31, verses 31 to 33. Just laying the foundation for the burden of Yahusha.
Behold, the days come, saith Yahuwah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Yasharel and with the house of Yehuda.
This is the New Testament. Continue.
not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Mitzrayim, which my covenant they break, although I was an husband unto them, saith Yahuwah.
33.
But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Yasharel. After those days, saith Yahuwah, I will put my Torah in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people.
So the Most High is not saying that after those days in the new covenant, the law will be taken away. He says, no, I will put it in their inward parts and write it in their hearts. And in the book of Ezekiel chapter 11, it tells us why. It says, so they shall walk in my statutes and my judgments. Ezekiel 11, verse 19 to 21. He tells us what will happen when they are walking in the Spirit. 19 to 21. Read, please.
And I will give them one heart, and I'll put a new ruach within you, and I will take the stony heart out of their flesh, and will give them an heart of flesh.
So when he puts his ruach in us now, what is it going to make us do? Is it going to make us ignore and reject the Torah?
No.
Let's see what it's going to do.
That they may walk in my statutes, and keep mine ordinances, and do them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim.
So where does the statutes and his ordinances come from? Where are they written? In the Torah. All right. So that means his people in the end, in the New Testament, when they receive the Ruach of his Son, they will be walking in obedience to his Torah. So let's just see the prophecy of the magnification or the expansion of the Torah, because we just read in the book of books of the Nazarene, Hamashiach said he came to add clarification to the Torah. So let's see it prophesied, so they cannot say, oh, where did that come from? Let's go to the book of Isaiah 42, verse 21.
Yahuwah is well pleased for his righteousness' sake. He will magnify the Torah and make it honorable.
He will
magnify the Torah and make it honorable.
This is the prophecy of Hamashiach, magnifying the Torah and making it honorable. When you magnify something, do you shrink it?
No.
It's expanded. So let's see in the books of the Nazarene, chapter 7, page 72, verses 20 to 21. And here Hamashiach gives us a different perspective of whether or not, the question was asked, whether or not he came to take away the Torah. Let's hear what he has to say. Verse 20.
One of the Parashim, or Pharisees, who was nearby said to Yahusha, we understand your meaning, but where do you stand in relation to the Torah? Have you come to take it away or declare it obsolete?
Continue.
Yahusha replied, no one patches an old cloak with new fabric, for this shows up its age without strengthening it. Likewise, no sensible person puts new wine into old wineskins, for this causes them to spill, the wine pouring out, so neither the wine nor the wineskins have any value. Is it not much wiser to put new wine into new wineskins? I have come to place something beside that which is already there.
Stop. I have come to do what?
To place something beside that which is already there.
And this is what it will do.
To hold a mirror to the Torah and to man, so both may be seen with greater clarity.
What is Hamashiach saying here? He is saying that he came to place something beside that which is already there. So he has come to hold a mirror to the Torah and to man, so both may be seen with greater clarity. So the teachings that Hamashiach came with is not to do away with Torah, it's so that we can see the Torah more clearly, so we get more understanding of it, so we know how to walk it out, or we know how to walk out obedience to it. So let's just look at one example of the magnification of the Torah. example of the magnification of the Torah, we're going to read Book of the Nazarene. This account is also in the Bible, but Books of Nazarene gives it more clarity. Books of the Nazarene, chapter 16, page 155, verse 48.
The holy books of the Yahudim say that an eye shall be taken for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But the words of the Torah must be interpreted with justice.
This is an example of what he just told us. He came to hold a mirror between the Torah and man so that both can be seen more clearly. And let's see how he makes us see it more clearly.
For if an eye be taken from he who put out another's, or a tooth from someone who has knocked out the tooth of another, is the loss made good in this manner? Or if a one-eyed man causes him with two eyes to lose one, shall he be made blind and so suffer a greater loss? Or if a man with two eyes causes a man with one eye to be made blind, shall he lose both? Henceforth, let the loss be made good in silver or through labor. For now, the Torah of revenge shall be overruled by the Torah of retribution.
All right, so notice there, the law is not done away with. He's not saying, all right, an eye for an eye. No retribution must be made. He's saying, let it be made good in silver or through labor. You pay back for what you have done. And he says, the law of revenge shall be overruled by the law of retribution. Continue.
All laws shall now be administered under the rule of recompense. All these things I give you, that they may be established and added to the Torah, so that henceforth they be used in judgments among the just.
So we see the Torah is not done away with. It is now made more merciful. It is now made more spiritual. It is now made more, what should we say, more humane. Because an eye for an eye, somebody just sits here in the eye, just go, okay, hit out my eye, hit out his eyes. Hamashiach is saying that does not make any sense. And they have a saying, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. So if everyone hits out an eye for an eye, pretty soon everyone will be blind. So let's look at the danger of wrongful interpretation of Torah. This is the problem. The problem that we have today is not whether or not we should follow the Torah. It is the wrongful interpretation of Torah. This is why Hamashiach is important. Because in religion, the Christian religion, they worship Yahusha as a God. He is not to be worshipped as a God. He is to be followed. Yes? And the reason he is to be followed is because of the ambiguity of the Torah, of our ability to each take the interpretation of Torah to our own selves. So Yahusha has to be the one whom we follow as one standard of the Torah. So let's look at the example of the danger of wrongful interpretation of Torah. Philippians 3, verse 8 to 9.
Yea, doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Hamashiach Yahusha, my master, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but dung, that I may win Hamashiach, and be found in him, not having mine own righteousness, which is of the law.
There we go. Not having mine own righteousness, which is of the law. I can use the law and set up my own standard of righteousness. Yes? And for some people, that can be no righteousness at all. If you meet some people who say they are Old Testament only, If you meet some people who say they are Old Testament only and converse with them, you can see what I'm saying. They just go after the desires of their flesh. One of the things that they go after now strongly is polygamy, wanting multiple partners at a time when we should be denying ourselves. But because they have thrown away Yahusha, there is no knowledge of denying of the self. And we're going to show a little later little later that without this denying of self, then we are sitting ducks for the enemy. We cannot overcome the enemy that way. So be found in him, not having mine own righteousness, which is of the law, but
that which is through the emunah of Hamashiach, the righteousness which is of Alua by emunah.
the righteousness which is of Alua by emunah. And that emunah, that faith, believing in Yahusha, is actually following him, emulating his life, living as he lived. That is the righteousness that we follow, not the righteousness which is of the law, which makes us able to have our own standard of righteousness. Romans 10, verse 1 to 4.
Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to Alua for Yasharel is that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of Alua, but not according to knowledge. For they, being ignorant of Alua's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of Alua.
So what is the righteousness of Alua? Verse 4.
For Hamashiach is the end of the Torah for righteousness to everyone that believeth.
That's it. Hamashiach is the righteousness of Alua. Following him is the righteousness of Alua. And let me tell you something. Hamashiach. Most people today do not speak about Hamashiach. If they speak about him, they give him a name, stamp him with a name, give him different attributes, and worship him, saying that he's equal to the Most High. Now, one set of persons do that. Another set of persons come and say, hey, Old Testament is New Testament is false. There's no Messiah. And they reject him. Another set of people now come and call on the name of Yahusha, but they set him aside and do not make him the center of their life, what the point that they aim at. What does it say here? Hamashiach is the end of the law, and the end there is telos, which means properly the point aimed at as a limit. So the law aims at and points at Yahusha. So if you walk out the life of Yahusha, you will be able to walk out the law. Simple. John 14:6, and I think we're going to use that again somewhere else. John 14:6. You should know that by heart. Let's recite it, children. John 14:6.
Yahusha saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me.
You think we take this for a joke? You think this is there for decoration? No man cometh unto the Father but by me. That means there's only one single way. And you have to follow the life of this man. One single solitary way. This is a no man cometh unto the Father but by me. So any other way, in another one he says, any man, I am the door. Remember that one? And says anyone who comes in is a thief. Yes. Hold on. You might put that mic over there. Put number 3 over there, or 4. All right, take number 4. Number 4. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
He says he's the way, the truth, and the light.
And the life.
And the life. And what is the truth? The truth is the Torah.
All right. We did, that is coming as well. Go ahead.
And John 8:32 also say,
John 8.
you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. The only way you can be free is walking out Yahusha Mashiach.
All right. Only way you can be free is walking out the truth.
Yes.
Which is Hamashiach.
Yes.
And the Torah. Both of them go hand in hand, people. You can't have one without the other. Okay. Where are we? Oh, I wasn't even showing the thing. Oh. So let's look again at the danger of a wrongful interpretation of Torah. And for that, we're going to go into our favorite book, the books of the Nazarene. Chapter 7, page 75, verse 36, the danger of wrongful interpretation of the Torah. This was when Hamashiach was going to heal the man who had problems with his arm. And he asked the Pharisees if it is good to heal when to do good. And the Pharisees said they only interpret the Torah as it is interpreted to them by those who know how to interpret it. And verse 36 said,
Yahusha became angry and was hurt in his heart, for their hard-heartedness and wrongful interpretation of the Torah were indications of their spiritual apathy.
you see, hard-heartedness and wrongful interpretation of the Torah were indications of their spiritual apathy, which means they do not care. All they want to do is to say they obey the law so that they can feel justified in the sight of the Most High. Their hearts were not converted. They had no compassion whatsoever. Continue.
So he healed the man's arm. The self-righteous see no wrong in themselves, only in others, and they interpret all things to accord with their own convenience.
So here's the problem now with the Torah. When you have the Torah alone, and as it says in Philippians, having mine own righteousness, which is of the law, when our own righteousness is of the law, then self-righteousness can come in, and I interpret everything according to mine own convenience. And that is why the Most High sent his Son. Because now everything is interpreted according to the Son, according to the Father, through the manifestation that is in his Son. So there is no one standard, and that standard is the Son. Books of the Nazarene, chapter 16, page 155, verse 47.
There are those who interpret the Torah narrowly,
So that,
while not taking the clothes from the widow's back, they will take her house and milk cow and drive the fatherless children from their home.
in other words, they will appear to have some compassion, but in the end, like ravenous wolves, they will still be taking something. Continue.
They justify themselves by saying, "This is the Torah, and was not her husband a debtor?" Many are the devious roads followed by the hypocrites, for this is a wrongful interpretation of the Torah.
So without Hamashiach now, anyone can come and interpret the Torah wrongfully and yet still say they are righteous. I am obeying the Torah. You can't tell me that I'm not obeying the Torah because the Torah says this. So if I come now and I pile on 5, 6, 7, 8 wives, you can't tell me that I'm in sin because I'm interpreting the Torah. But when I'm following Yahusha HaMashiach, I know that there is not even a record of HaMashiach having even one wife, much less for him to have 5, 8, 9, 10. So Yahusha becomes the standard that we look for, not the Torah itself, because he brings light to the Torah, as we are going to see. And here it is, Yahusha, the light of the world. And it was prophesied in Isaiah 51, verse 4.
Hearken unto me, my people, and give ear unto me, O my nation. For a law shall proceed from me, and I will make my judgment to rest for a light of the people.
A law shall proceed from me. This is from the Old Testament. Isaiah was prophesying that a law shall proceed from me. What law shall proceed from me? Hamashiach, coming to magnify the Torah, and it will rest for a light of the people. A light. And what does a light do? A light shines its way through darkness. A light shines its way through darkness and illuminates our paths and shows us the way that we should go. John 8, verse 12.
Then spake Yahusha again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world.
All right, so there he is confirming Isaiah 51, verse 4. Read again, please.
Then spake Yahusha again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life.
All right, so he that worships me shall not walk in darkness. Is that what he's saying? He that does what?
That followeth him.
He that followeth me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. All we have to do is to follow him, is to emulate him. And we can't say this enough. I think we say it too much that people don't understand it. Because we see and we have believers justifying themselves. We justify ourselves that we are in righteousness. And our lives in no way manifest the life of Hamashiach. That is the only standard, people. The only standard. Any other standard will be having our own righteousness, which is of the law. We have to look and see if our lives manifest the life of Hamashiach. That is the only way. Continue. John 12, 46. It's not pinned.
No, it's fine. I am come a light into the world, but whosoever believeth on me shall not abide in darkness.
Yahusha, the light. Whosoever believeth on me, whosoever followeth me. John 18:37. Now we're going to look at the connection with him, with this light, which is Yahusha, and the Torah. Let's see the connection. John 18:37.
Pilate therefore said unto him, Art thou a king then? Yahusha answered, Thou sayest that I am a king. To this end was I born, and for this cause came I into the world, that I should bear witness unto the truth. Everyone that is of the truth heareth my voice.
So this is a light now. He has come to bear witness unto the truth. And what is the truth, Amakai? What is the truth?
The Torah.
Psalms 119, 142.
Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth.
And thy law is the
Truth.
So he came to be a witness unto the truth. He came to be a witness unto the.
Torah.
So he's a light that is shining on the Torah and shining in the hearts of men, matching men with the Torah, letting men understand the way to the Torah. John 14:6.
Yahusha said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me.
And again, what is the truth?
The Torah.
Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. All right? So let's look now at the Torah and the light of Yahusha. He came to be a witness to the Torah. Books of the Nazarene, chapter 7, page 70.
While eating, Yahusha said, No man of himself can know right from wrong.
Stop. No man of himself can do what?
Know right from wrong.
So, Menzi, remember you asked us a question the other day. All we need is love. Remember that? So how would you know right from wrong? You see what it's saying? It says no man of himself can know right from wrong. There's only one way to know right from wrong, and that is through the
Torah.
Torah. So without the Torah, you will be walking, not knowing right from wrong, and you are being led by a sinful nature that is going to be, we're going to look at it later, that is going to be attracted to wrong. Remember, you can't tell right from wrong. Your sinful nature is going to be a magnet to that which is wrong. How are you going to do what is right? Impossible. You're dead. Without the Torah, you're dead. Because we will not know right from wrong, and and our sinful nature is going to lead us into wrong. Continue. Say that no man of himself again. Sounds good.
While eating, Yahusha said, "No man of himself can know right from wrong. For what is right in one man's eyes may be wrong in another's."
So if we throw out the standard of right and wrong, which is the Torah, how are we going to know what is right? I'm going to say, oh, that is right. That man is going to say, no, that is wrong. What is the standard? Continue.
Therefore, strife arises among them. Only when men accept a single standard of judgment and abide by it can there be shalom.
Only when men abide by a single standard. And that is in the Torah. But the Torah is so open because the Most High made the Torah something that you search for your entire life. So how the Most High made it? He made it that we seek out the truth in it. It can bring us to destruction or it can bring us to truth. And that is what the Most High does with everything, including Hamashiach. As it said in the book of 1 Peter, to you who believe he is precious, but to those who are disobedient, he becomes a what?
Rock of
A
offense.
stone of stumbling and a rock of offense. It's the same thing with the Torah. If you have the heart for the truth of the Torah, you will get it. If not, whatever you want, you'll get it out of it. And that's how the Most High made it. As he said to Moses, I put before you today life and death, good and evil. But he said, choose life. It's your choice. Continue.
When men live together without the light of the Torah, they are like a house built with unmortared bricks, or like men trying to tow a boat, but all pulling in different directions.
All right, without the light of the Torah. The light of the Torah is the true interpretation of the Torah, which is what Hamashiach gives us. Continue.
There are two laws, the law of men and the Torah of the Father who is in Shamayim. When I speak of the Torah, I do not mean the law of men. I am the light illuminating Yahuwah's Torah so men see it more clearly. And
Stop there. I am the light illuminating Yahuwah's Torah. So when we follow Yahusha, Yahusha is shining a light on the Torah so we can see it clearly. Continue.
And though I fulfill the Torah, I do not change it.
I do not
change it.
So whatever he added to the Torah is to expand it so that we can see it more clearly, so that we can actually walk it out in our lives in righteousness. Continue.
Never say, this is right or that is wrong, but only this is right or wrong according to the Torah and in the light of Yahusha.
Say it again. I do. Never say this is right.
Never say this is right or that is wrong, but only this is right or wrong according to the Torah and in the light of Yahusha.
You see, it's both of them. You have to obey the Torah and you have to walk in the light of Yahusha. Therein is a burden. Many people who come to the truth are not willing to take up this burden, especially those who were Christians, where the burden was just light. And you continue in this world chasing after your life in this world and material gain and your ambitions and your desires. That's what Christianity gave you. Now you come to serve the Most High. The Most High says you have to be willing to throw away everything to follow me, to bear the burden of my son. Continue, please, verse 9.
Before you continue, I think
go ahead.
Ak El Pedro face keep popping up on the screen.
Oh, let me see.
Brother Magnifying.
Oh, the pin is there. I don't know why it does. Oh, it's not muted.
There it goes.
Oh, it's muted. All right. Shalom, El Pedro. All right, go ahead. Where were we? Verse 9.
I bring new oil for the lamp of the Torah, for that within it is now impure, and the light produces too much obscuring smoke.
So why did the Torah, the lamp, why did the light in the Torah produce obscuring smoke? Why
e-
was it impure?
Because every man was according to their own righteousness. They were walking according to their own righteousness and their own interpretations of the Torah.
And false religions and different sects of the religion, etc. Continue.
For I am the son of Adam, and bear the sufferings of men, coming to fulfill their hopes, even as it has been foretold. Is it not said among the Jesseneth that the son of Adam is the perfected man who will set the standard for those who wish to be true sons of Alua?
He came to do what?
Set
To set the standard for those who wish to be true sons of Alua. And this is the standard that we follow. Another one, Books of the Nazarene, chapter 19, page 183, verse 30. The Torah and the light of Yahusha.
I shall prepare a place for you in the kingdom of Yahuwah, and wait there to welcome you. Where I will be, you shall be also. And where you are, there too I will be. You know the way to where I am going and can follow. For the Torah and the books of wisdom are the way, the truth, and the light. I have brought you a light to show the way. Follow it, and you will not go astray.
This is the way to salvation. What is the thing? Our question, the burden of Yahusha, are you on your way to the true path of salvation? This is the true path of salvation. Walking out the Torah in the light of Yahusha. It says, for the Torah and the books of wisdom are the way, the truth, and the light. I have brought you a light to show the way. Follow it, and you will not go astray. All right? Now, a lot of people want to ditch the Torah, but hear this. Studying the Torah diligently will let us find ourselves. You see the power of the Torah. Studying the Torah diligently will let us find ourselves. Books of the Nazarene, chapter 17, page 160. Verse 24.
Yahusha said, the road starts within yourself.
Hey. Where does the road start?
Within yourself.
Within yourself. That is why it says, if any man come after me, let him do what?
Deny himself.
Hey. It begins within us. Continue.
The road starts within yourself. But to find it, you must abide by the Torah as written in the books of wisdom.
All right. So for all those people in the world who now come, follow the way, whatever, trying to ditch the Torah, this teaching is for you. Thinking about getting rid of the Torah. The road starts within yourself. But to find it, you must abide by the Torah as written in the books of wisdom. Continue. For knowledge
of the Torah provides a true and clear picture of yourself.
Yeah. Say it again.
For knowledge of the Torah provides a true and clear picture of yourself.
So all those who want to find themselves, diligently seek out the Torah. Continue.
Just as a mirror reflects back a true image, so does the Torah when studied diligently.
Continue.
Let this be your guiding light. Take no thought for tomorrow, whether it bring good or bring evil. The cares of the day are sufficient, and the Torah will sustain you.
So tell me something now. This law done away with thing of Christianity. Where did that come from? That came straight from Satan himself. Straight from Satan. Proverbs 6:23 says, for the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. So the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light that shines on the lamp. and reproofs, corrections are the way of life. Eternal life is dependent on us taking correction, reproofs from the Torah. Psalm 119, 105, thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. The law is a light that shines through the darkness and shines and illuminates even ourselves. And by the way, lest we forget, and this is one for all those who have children among them, the parents will be judged by how they teach the children the Torah. The parents will be judged by how they teach the children the Torah. Deuteronomy 11, verses 18 to 20 to begin. Deuteronomy 11, verses 18 to 20.
Therefore, shall ye lay up these words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. And ye shall teach them your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
You see how much you have to teach your children. When you sit in your house, when you walk, by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up, you must teach his law, his Torah, to the children. And even go to the point where verse 20,
And thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thine house, and upon thy gates,
verse 21,
that your days may be multiplied.
you see? Our long life is dependent on this, that your days may be multiplied and the days of your children. So your children's lives are dependent on whether or not you teach them the Torah, you teach them the way, the truth, and the life. Read 21 again, please.
That your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children, in the land which Yahuwah sware unto your fathers to give them, as the days of Shamayim upon Aretz.
All right? And the books of the Nazarene goes a little further, a little more deeper into this, to show you what will happen if we do not do this. Chapter 12, page 115, 115, verse 16. Let me get it. 115, verse 16. Read it, please.
Given a single thread from a carpet, could any one of you know the pattern? It is the transgressions of the fathers which cause the children to suffer.
Read it again.
It is the transgressions of the fathers which cause the children to suffer.
And that is in the book of Shemot 20. There is a verse 3, visiting the iniquity upon the fathers to the children unto the third and fourth generation. That's it? Let's look at it quickly. Shemot, Exodus 20, about verse 3. Exodus 20. Verse 5.
Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahuwah, thy Eluah, am a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me.
Verse 6.
And showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments.
So he shows mercy, giving them length of days to those who are in righteousness. But to those fathers who have children, oh boy, the iniquity of the fathers. Where are we? Let's continue. It is the transgressions.
It is the transgressions of the fathers which cause the children to suffer. For not only are there things which must not be done, But there are things which are to be done,
Mhm.
also things which must be guarded against.
So, as parents, there are things that we must do, things that we must not do, and things that we must guard against when as it pertains to our children. Continue.
If a man fails to instruct his children or permit them to grow up unruly, he is a transgressor against the Torah.
Read it again, please.
If a man fails to instruct his children
Parents, listen.
or permit them to grow up unruly,
Mm-hmm.
he is a transgressor against the Torah.
All right. Continue.
And is it not obvious this affects the children? If a man chooses his wife for her beauty and charm, because she pleases him, and not for her wifely and motherly attributes, he transgresses against the Torah.
Oh boy. If a man chooses his wife for her beauty and charm because she pleases him, isn't this how the world is programmed though? The world goes after beauty. That's how it programs people to go after beauty. If you choose a woman for her beauty and charm because she pleases you and not for her wifely and motherly attributes, you are a transgressor against the Torah. Continue.
Does not the effect of this fall upon his children? If a man steal, Allah would not chastise the children.
Mm-hmm.
But if that man be caught and crucified, his wife sold into bondage, will not his children suffer?
Mm-hmm.
The Torah of Yahuwah was given in the books of wisdom, is unlike the laws of men. A man is responsible not only for what he does, but for what he fails to do.
Mm-hmm.
And though he spends his whole life in prayer, at places of righteousness, but overlooks his obligations under the greater Torah, he is not free of transgression.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Though you spend your whole life in prayer at places of righteousness, but overlook your obligation. This is why in the book of the shepherd of Hermas, remember this? When Hermas was told of this transgression that he had, that his children were in sin, and he was not correcting his children. Now, this is a burden to many of us, even like me, who have children who do not want to even listen to anything about the Torah. Some children don't want to hear anything about righteousness.
See with the sons of Eli,
Ah,
and when the Messiah had to choose Samuel instead,
yeah.
because his sons was doing abominable thing.
And Eli was not actually seriously scolding his children for what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tricky though, because what if you grew up in sin and then you turn to the Most High? I know you're trying to turn your children to the Most High and they refuse. Even these children are adults. How does that go? It's an interesting thing to think about. Oh boy. Continue, verse 19.
The deeds of men are like pebbles thrown into a pool, sending out ever widening ripples. And I assure you that all harm done by the ripples shall be accounted against he who caused them, no matter how far distant it occurs.
Hey, this is serious. You think this is easy? That means every single thing that you do, the effect of it will be accounted against. So when we're in our lives of sin, we took no regard for anything like this. Now we came out of sin and reading this, we're like, oh boy.
That's why some things we did in the past still affect us today, to this very day.
So that's why when I go through some things, I just have to say, well, better I pay now than pay at the time when I stand before him. Verse 20.
This is the Torah. Whatever a man transmits to his children, even down to the 10th generation.
Ouch.
That shall be accounted against him.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Even though it's burdensome, read it again, please.
This is the Torah. Whatever a man transmits to his children, even down to the 10th generation, that shall be accounted against him.
But hear the other part now.
Likewise, if a man fails to do things he should for his children, that too will not be overlooked.
Oh boy. Woo. Read 21.
When the day of assessment comes, it will be like a net cast into the sea, which gathers up every kind of fish, some wholesome and others not. When full, it is drawn ashore, and the wholesome fish are placed in baskets, while the unwholesome are thrown aside. So it is at the time of assessment. The good go in one direction, and the transgressors in another.
Ouch. Ooh. Mm-hmm. This walk, this way is not a comfortable walk. All right? So the Torah, and let me go. No, I should put this after this. Yeah. All right, so where are we now? The Torah, burden the children. All right, so we come now to Yahusha's burden. What is Yahusha's burden? Keeping both the commandments of the Father and following the Son. John 15:10.
If you keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love.
So that's the burden. Keeping the Father's commandment and keeping the commandments or following the Son. Revelation 14:12.
Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Eluah and the faith of Yahusha.
The faith of Yahusha HaMashiach is following Yahusha HaMashiach and keep the commandments of Eluah, that is the Torah. So the saints, the end time saints, and the word saints there is from the Greek word hagios, which means sacred, physically pure, morally blameless, or religiously, ceremonially consecrated, most holy one. So the holy ones are those who keep the commandments of the Most High, keep his Torah, and follow his Son. Revelation 12:11.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death.
By the blood of the Lamb. So we have to follow Yahusha HaMashiach unto death in order for us to overcome. That is the burden of Yahusha. To tell a man that he has to be willing to die at any time, that is a burden. So how do we begin the journey to bear Yahusha's burden for those who are new or maybe new to following the way? How do we begin the journey to bearing Yahusha's burden? Matthew 16:24-25. Matthew 16:24 to 25. Let's go.
Then said Yahusha unto his disciples, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his stake and follow me.
Deny himself before. And the denying self there, I think we'll probably look at it in more detail later. The denying self is actually denying your lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, lust, pride of life, denying your ambitions, denying your dreams, your aspirations, denying your comforts, denying everything that makes the self comfortable. You have to be willing to do that before you can follow Yahusha. Verse 25.
For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, and whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it.
It is an opposite thing. If you are willing to lose your life in this world, then in the age to come, you will have eternal life. No two ways about it. So when we first decide that we are going to deny self, then we go to Acts 2:38. This is how you begin the journey, people. Acts 2:38.
Then Kepha said unto them, Repent and be immersed, every one of you, in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, for the remission of sins, and ye shall receive the gift of Ruach HaKadosh.
And when you receive the gift of Ruach HaKadosh, let's go to John 3:3-8. It is going to make you do something. John 3:3-8. Read, please.
Yahusha answered and said unto him, Truly, truly, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of Eluah.
And to be born again, let's go down to verse 5.
Nicodemus said unto
Verse 5.
Yahusha answered, Truly, truly, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Ruach, he cannot enter into the kingdom of Eluah.
So that is the Acts 2:38. Unless you are born of water and the Ruach, you cannot enter into the kingdom. Let's read verse 6-8.
That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Ruach is Ruach. Marvel not that I said unto thee, you must be born again.
Verse 8. This is how now you know that you are born of the Ruach.
The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh or whither it goeth. So is everyone that is born of the Ruach.
When you are born of the Ruach, you do not have any form of self-determination. You are tossed to and fro by the Ruach. The Ruach takes you wherever it wants you to go in order to achieve the will of the Father. You will not have any plans in life, someone who is born of the Ruach. You will only live to be used by the Father. You will not have any ambitions. You will just live. Just live. Most people in this world are unable to do so. Most believers are able to just live. And that will take us to 2 Corinthians 5:17. And so that is why when you flee out of the midst of Babylon, it is easier to achieve. So this also happens now. So when you are able to be turned and you don't have anything of yourself, this is what happens to you. 2 Corinthians 5:17.
Therefore, if any man be in Hamashiach, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new.
All things. When you truly go through with the process, you become a new creature. The old person must have gone. If we are now still having old things from our past complicating our present, old behaviors, old attitudes, old attributes, it means that we are not new creatures. It means that all things are not passed away and all things have not become new. It means that something is wrong with the process and we need to go back from the beginning and deny ourselves. So let's begin with what stands in the way of all things becoming new. What stands in the way of all things becoming new? And let's go to Habereshith. We're going to go from the beginning. Habereshith 2, Genesis 2, verses 16 to 17. We are going to go in the process. Go back to the process. Genesis 2, 16 to 17, I said. Read, please. This is how man came to get their sinful nature. It seems we cannot speak now anytime and not speak about the sinful nature that we have. Read, please.
And Yahuwah Eluah commanded the man, saying, Of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die.
Thou shalt.
Surely die.
When Adam ate that fruit, he died. And when he died, he passed down the penalty of death on every single human being. Romans 5, 16 to 21. Romans 5, 16 to 21. Where is it? Go ahead. This explains what I just said a while ago. Read, please.
And not as it was by one that sinned, so is the gift. For the judgment was not by one to condemn.
No. The judgment was by one.
Sorry. For the judgment was by one to condemnation, but the free gift is of many offenses unto justification.
All right. The judgment was by one to condemnation. That judgment was by Adam. In the day that thou sin, thou shalt surely die. And that condemned all men. But the free gift that came through Yahusha HaMashiach is of many offenses unto justification. Verse 17.
For if by one man's offense death reigned by one.
So death reigned in us through the offense of Adam. Verse 17. For if
by one man's offense death reigned by one, much more they which receive abundance of favor and of the gift of righteousness shall reign in life by one, Yahusha HaMashiach.
So we have two things here. We have death by Adam, and we have life through Yahusha HaMashiach. So without HaMashiach, there is no life. Without Yahusha HaMashiach, there is no life. Verse 18.
Therefore, as by the offense of one judgment came upon all men to condemnation, even so by the righteousness of one, the free gift came upon all men unto justification of life.
All right, so Adam condemned us. 19.
For as by one man's disobedience many were made sinners, so by the obedience of one man or one shall many be made righteous.
So by Adam's disobedience, we were all made sinners. And so we are fashioned with a nature. We are like a machine, a sin machine. Each and every man that is born with a nature to sin, to lead us to the death of Adam. But the Most High gave us a choice. Man, he's so merciful. He gave us life and said, life is in that man, my son. Continue.
Moreover, the law entered that the offense might abound. But where sin abounded, favor did much more abound.
All right. So law entered so that the offense might abound. So the law entered to show us that we are sinful. But where sin abounded, and we're going to show that when the law comes in, we get extra sinful when we hear that we should not do such a thing. Continue.
That as sin hath reigned unto death, even so might favor reign through righteousness unto eternal life by Yahusha HaMashiach, our master.
All right. So we've done the sinful nature several times, Romans 7, and you have it down here. You can look at it, but we're going to do it a different way this time. We're going to illustrate it graphically on the screen. Romans 7, 7 to 10, you can read it on 14 to 20, and then 24 to 25. But let's illustrate it on the screen. Some people here will not be able to see it. So I just did a rough sketch of this process, the soul of a sinner. And we see here the body and the spirit, as it says in Genesis 2, is it 6 or 9? When it tells us about Yahuwah made man of the dust of the earth and blew into his body the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So this is the soul of a sinner. We have the body and the spirit. Notice the size of the body. The body is way bigger than the spirit. because the spirit is under the oppression and suppression of the body. So the body is impacted by the pride of life, lust of flesh, lust of the eyes, by its ambitions, by its different desires, by its experiences, memory, etc., impacts the body and makes the body sinful. And this body here desires sin in order to feel comfortable. Now, the soul of a sinner might have no religion, or a sinner might have false religion, or might be into spirituality and other forms of idolatry, things like ancestral worship. Those things are in the soul of a sinner. But then the law comes in. We're going to look at what happens when we are Old Testament only. When the law comes in, the Torah tells us, you must not do this. This is the danger of the law. The law comes in and says, do not do this. When the law comes in and says, do not do this, the sinful nature that is in the body is going to trigger a defense. It is going to defend itself. And it defends itself with all its power by throwing up lustful desires. In Romans 7, it speaks about concupiscence. That's lustful desires. So we see in green, it says the body sends out lustful desires to defeat the effect of the Torah and retain power and continue in sin so that we can die. You see the body that we have that we are cherishing? This body is a body of death. It is a suicidal body. It is a body that is wired to let us die. This body is wired to let us die. All it is interested in is to get us to sin so that we die because of the sin of Adam. So when the Torah says, thou shalt not, the flesh, the body throws out some lusts and desires and binds us with our lusts and desires. And so the body continues to rule the spirit. So we are religious. We dress religiously, we talk religiously, we study the scriptures, but the flesh still dominates us. So we look the part and look righteous, but the flesh is ruling. Now, the New Testament, we just spoke about how we began. We spoke about Acts 2:38 and John 3, where you are walking in the Spirit. And 2 Corinthians 5:17, we become a new creatures. When that happens, the body does not ease up. The body cranks up into turbo mode. So remember, the body is impacted by the pride of life, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, by memories, by its experiences. That is what is behind us. So we get the Ruach, and the Most High gave us the Ruach to help us to overcome ourselves, to help us to overcome our body. So when we are given this help, one thing about the help that we are given, Ruach HaKadosh, it cannot dwell in a body that is unrighteous. No, the body knows that. So the body goes into turbo mode and brings out more and more and more and more lustful things. So that the Ruach is going to flee because the body now becomes lustful. What a quandary we are in. Eh?
It's like a prison.
It is a prison. This is a prison. So when people do us things, for example, if you go some places and step on someone's toes, that might mean your death. That is the flesh protecting itself so severely. Some people are so, if you soil their clothes. Man, it's the end of the world because the flesh is so active over the spirit, they become heartless. Their whole demeanor is animalistic, just preserving the flesh. Now, how do we overcome this prison? How do we overcome the body of sin? The New Testament. Here's how we overcome it. The body, the flesh, has to be denied its lusts and desires. It has to be denied its ambitions. It must not be allowed to fall into comforts. This is your enemy. And we must take on the life of Yahusha HaMashiach. And you can see for reference, John 15:4-6, 1 John 2:6, 1 John 4:17. We have to deliberately deny this, reject this. Do not let it fall in its comfort zone. That's why you're here in the midst of us, and we hear people striving for comforts. I tell people, leave those comforts alone. They are destroying you. The body has to be denied its lusts and desires and not allowed to fall into comforts. When you do that, then you diminish its importance and its impact on your spirit. When you diminish the body, it has no power over the Ruach combined with Ruach HaKadosh. Because when you do that, when you suppress the body, you take away sin. And when you take away sin, Ruach HaKadosh can have fellowship with your spirit. And when Ruach HaKadosh has fellowship with our spirit, then it strengthens us to overcome the power that the body has over us. This is the way to the Father through the Son. We have fellowship with the Father and the Son. John 17:20-23, 1 John 1:2-3. So when the Torah says, thou shalt not, because we do not have these lusts and desires going through us, because we have denied our body, denied ourselves, we are now able to obey the Torah, walking in the Spirit. Because our spirit is able to have fellowship with the Spirit of the Father and the Son, which is Ruach HaKadosh. And having that spirit, our body, our flesh being suppressed, is of no match for the Spirit, our spirit in unison with the Spirit of the Father and the Son, Ruach HaKadosh. This is the only way we can overcome our body of sin. So without the Torah, we will not know what sin is, and so our body will lead us to commit sin. Is that clear? So the Torah actually does lead us into moderation. The Torah leads us into moderation. This is the moderation we're talking about, where the body is suppressed. And we're going to show the moderation even as it comes to women itself. The Torah and moderation. Books of the Nazarene, chapter 18, page 174. Yahusha is going to tell you when you follow the Torah, then you will be following a life of moderation. Read, please. Verse 58.
Yahusha said, the Torah brings all things to a balance of moderation.
All right. That's what we want, right? A balance of moderation so that the flesh is not exalted. Continue.
Does it not say, it is sufficient to feed and clothe the women folk modestly, caring for their needs, but ensuring they are not spoiled by idleness? It suffices to provide your sons with learning and skill, and your daughters with their dowries. There is nothing more you can give them, for above this you harm them with luxury.
You harm them with
luxury.
So all you need, the Torah provides for you to provide your sons with learning and skill, and your daughters with their dowries. That is all you can do for them. Because if you give them anything above this, you harm them with,
luxury.
and so the flesh will be exalted again, and the sinful nature will overpower our spirit. Continue.
A poor man cannot spoil his family with overindulgence, but precautions against this are not the least of the rich man's burden.
Says he's best when you don't have anything. The rich man has struggles trying to prevent his people from overindulging. Now, let's see how this manifests. He was speaking about the moderation. It is sufficient to feed and clothe the women folk modestly. That's what the Torah says. Let's see how it is manifested in 1 Timothy 2, verses 9 to 10.
In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broided hair, or gold, or pearls, or costly array, but which becometh woman professing holiness with good works.
Oh, many people did not know that this was Torah. 1 Timothy 5, 6.
But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth.
That's the opposite. A woman not being in modesty but living in pleasure. It says, she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. So any woman, even women who are striving after the way and you're still living in pleasure, it says you are the living dead. So, what stands in the way of all things becoming new? Remember, it says, if any man be in Hamashiach, he is a
new creature.
All things are passed away. Behold,
all things are made new.
All things are become new. What stands in the way of all things becoming new? We're going to go to the shepherd of Hermas, the two angels that are with man. We've looked at this sometime, but we have to look at it now. Page 38, chapter 36. It's about emunah. It's about faith. Go ahead, please.
Is it from I Want to Explain?
No, now here he said about faith. Chapter 36, 6:2.
Now here he said about emunah. There are two malakim with a person.
You have to say angels because
there are two angels with a person, one of righteousness and one of wickedness. So
there are two angels with men, one angel of righteousness and one angel of wickedness. Continue.
So how, sir, I said, will I recognize their workings, given that both angels live with me? Listen, he said, and you will understand them. The angel.
All right, hold on. So there are two angels with man. This is what stands in the way of us becoming new creations. When we were in sin, we listened heavily to the angel of wickedness because the angel of wickedness works with the sinful nature. So when our nature is sinful, we are going to have the propensity towards wickedness, to listening to that wicked voice in us that's trying to tell us to do that which is sinful. When we become new creatures, we are supposed to be reprogrammed, listening to the angel of righteousness and just totally rejecting the angel of wickedness. Continue.
The angel of righteousness is sensitive and modest and gentle and tranquil. When this one enters your heart, immediately he talks with you about righteousness, about purity, about holiness, about contentment, and about every righteous deed, and about every exalted virtue.
Continue. This is when you are the new man. This should be the new man. All of these things we should be dwelling in and living in. Continue.
Whenever all these things enter your heart, you know that the angel of righteousness is with you. These then are the works of the angel of righteousness. So trust him and his works.
This is when you are the new man. But here's the old man. And if this old man is still in us, then we have a problem. Verse 4.
Now, Observe the works of the angel of wickedness.
And this is how you know when people are truly converted. Just look at the works of the angels of wickedness. Verse 4.
Now, observe the works of the angel of wickedness. First of all, he is ill-tempered and bitter and senseless, and his works are evil, tearing down Alua's servants.
All right. So no believer should be ill-tempered. No believer should be bitter and senseless and doing evil works and tearing down the servants of Alua. Continue.
So whenever this one enters your heart, recognize him by his works. But I do not know, sir, I said, how to recognize him. Listen, he said.
This is how you recognize the angel of wickedness and recognize that we are not truly over the old man.
When some angry, temperamental outburst or bitterness comes over you, recognize that he is in you.
You see that? Read it again, please.
When some angry, temperamental outburst or bitterness comes over you, recognize that he is in you.
The angel of wickedness or the angel of iniquity. If we are angry and temperamental and we have angry temperamental outbursts or bitterness, then know that we are actually nowhere. We are still the old man. We have not been transformed. We have to go back to the beginning. And what is the beginning? If any man come after me,
Let him deny himself.
we have to start over. We have to go and deny ourselves. It's an indication that we have not begun the journey. We are just being religious. And if we are just being religious, not having started over, we are going to be trying to amend things inch by inch, little by little, thinking that we can work on ourselves when it is going to be impossible. Because the old man, go back to the diagram, the old sinful man, the flesh is ruling. Because when you are truly transformed, when you are the new man, change is immediate. Whenever, for example, we are told that something is wrong, we are alerted whether by someone or by our minds, and we decide that we're going to change, change is immediate to someone who has denied themselves. But to someone who has not denied themselves, that change cannot be immediate. It is a battle within the flesh and the spirit battling together. So the spirit wants to change. The mind wants to change, but the flesh is resisting because the flesh has not been denied and it's too powerful and too empowered. The spirit itself cannot overcome it. That is why you want to do that which is right, but you cannot do it because the flesh is resisting that change. So as believers, even while we're here, there is no reason or no time when there should be angry and temperamental outbursts or bitterness among us. And it should be an indication to the others of our state that we need to do something about it. And these other things come with it as well. Then comes
the desire for much business and extravagant kinds of food and drink, and much drunkenness, and various kinds of unnecessary luxuries, and the desire for woman, and greed, and arrogance, and pretentiousness, and whatever else resembles or is similar to these things.
So all sorts of sinful desires will come in. This is the same diagram that we showed when the spirit is overpowering, and when the flesh is overpowering the spirit. Continue.
So whenever these things enter your heart, you know that the angel of wickedness is with you. Recognizing therefore his works, shun him and do not trust him at all, because his works are evil and harmful to Alua's servants.
So when you recognize it, you make a special effort. Whenever evil presents itself, you dismiss it. Whenever evil presents itself, you reject it. Whenever temper and passion comes upon us, we reject it. Continue.
You now have then the working of both angels. Understand them and trust the angel of righteousness. But shun the angel of wickedness, because his teaching is evil in every respect. For if there should be an extremely faithful man, and the thought of that angel should enter his heart, that man or woman must inevitably commit some sin.
Sin must come in. Must. Verse 8.
On the other hand, if there should be an extremely sinful man or woman, and the works of the angel of righteousness should enter his or her heart, of necessity, that person must do something good.
You see? Even if one is sinful, and the angel of righteousness says, do that which is right, that person obeying the angel of righteousness is going to do that which is good. Continue.
You see then, he said, that it is good to follow the angel of righteousness, but shun the angel of wickedness. This commandment explains the things about emunah.
All right. This commandment explains the thing about faith. Now, many of us like to say that we have faith, but this is how our faith is manifests itself. When we have emunah, we are able to control our anger, we are able to control our emotions, and we are able to keep the angel of wickedness at bay. But when our emunah, when our faith is weak, we are unable to obey the angel of righteousness, and so the angel of wickedness overpowers us and leads us to sin. Read 10 again, please.
This commandment explains the things about faith, in order that you may trust the works of the angel of righteousness, and that doing them you may live to Alua. But believe that the works of the angel of wickedness are dangerous, so that by not doing them you will live to Alua.
All right. So that is emunah, or faith. Okay? So we are speaking about the burden of Yahusha. The burden of Yahusha is hard, but it is easy. It is easy, but it is hard. Books of the Nazarene, chapter 7, page 74.
What verse?
Verse 29.
Later, at another place, Yahusha said to the people gathered there, "Follow me, all those who are overburdened and weary, and I will help you. Take the yoke of my cause upon you and learn from me, for this will ease and not add to your load."
All right, so the burden of Yahusha is easy. And here is why it is easy. Continue.
I am understanding and compassionate, not expecting anyone to bear a load too heavy for them. The heavy laden shall know the light and be moved from the darkness. But they who cast aside their burden and go astray are lost forever in darkness.
Those who cast aside their burden
and go astray are lost forever in darkness.
How many people cannot take the burden and they go and strive and run elsewhere in order to avoid the burden? It says they go astray and are lost forever in darkness. I've seen this so many times. So many times I've seen this happen. Oh boy. Continue.
Life loads each according to his capacity, and no two bear a similar burden.
So the burden of Yahusha is unique to each individual. Everyone has their own burden, but if you cast aside the burden, that's when you commit suicide, spiritual suicide. So that is the light burden. Let's look at the hard, heavy burden. Chapter 9, page 92, verse 34.
He that is near me is close to a blazing fire and may get burned. But he who withdraws from the heat withdraws from heaven.
He who withdraws from the heat withdraws from heaven. You're near him, you might get burned. This is where the burden gets heavy now. Continue.
Some have said, the yoke of the Torah sits heavy on our shoulders. But I tell you, I come not to lighten, but to magnify the responsibility.
Hey. So he did not come to lighten the burden of the Torah, but to magnify the responsibility. Continue.
Moshe brought the Torah, which says not to kill. But I say, any who releases anger on his brother without just cause shall not escape judgment.
There you go. That's an example of him magnifying the Torah. Do not kill, but he says if you release anger on your brother without just cause, then you are guilty at the judgment. Okay? So the road, the burden is that it is a narrow, narrow way. Narrow, narrow way. Matthew 7:13 to 14, which we should know by heart. Which one is that?
Master.
Nope. Matthew 7:13, verse 13 and 14.
Enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. And many there be which go in thereat. Because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life.
And few,
Few there be that find
it. So the true way, carrying the burden of Yahusha, few will find it. 2 Ezra 7. 2 Ezra 7, 6 to 10. It's telling you again about the narrow way. The way is narrow. The burden is heavy. Hamashiach will make it light, but it is heavy. 7 verse 6 to 10.
There is also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field, and is full of all good things.
This is the kingdom.
The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left a deep water, and one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once.
This is the narrow way. Continue.
If this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive his inheritance?
The inheritance that we have set up for us is through a narrow path, a narrow way. And we cannot access our inheritance, receive our inheritance, unless we pass the danger. Danger. Verse 10.
And I said, It is so, master. Then said he unto me, Even so also is Yasharel's portion.
You see? Many of the people who say they are children of Israel, say they are waking up saying that they are Israelites, are looking for a wide gate, easy salvation. Oh, Yahuwah is just going to come and put us in. All we have to do is go and keep his commandments, forgetting everything about Yahusha. If they don't go through the danger, if we don't go individually through the different troubles and trials and sufferings and all, how can we receive this inheritance? All right, let's go. Numbers 22, 26 to 35. We're going to go in the Torah and show you the narrow way in the Torah. Numbers 22, 26 to 35, in the most unlikely place. Read it, please.
And the angel of Yahuwah went further and stood in a narrow place, where was no way to turn either to the right hand or to the left.
This is where the Most High has to place us. We looked earlier at our sinful nature, at how the flesh, the body, wants to dictate everything and has to be suppressed, has to be denied and put under control. Right? That is why we have to go through the narrow gate. Because if we do not go through the narrow gate, the body is allowed to prosper. The body of sin is going to lead us into sin. It has to be brought into a narrow place where it can hardly move. That is when it can be brought under control and our sin, our spirit rather, can be in control. So the angel of Yahuwah stood in a narrow place where there was no way to turn either to the right hand or to the left. Continue.
And when the ass saw the angel of Yahuwah, she fell down under Balaam. And Balaam's anger was kindled, and he smote the ass with a staff.
So the ass could see the narrow way and knew that there was nowhere else to go. But Balaam's eyes were closed because he was still looking at the wide path. Continue.
And Yahuwah opened the mouth of the ass, and she said unto Balaam, What have I done unto thee, that thou hast smitten me these 3 times?
And in the narrow place, when you're in the narrow way, that is when the Most High does supernatural things. That is when he can have his way with his ruach, with us, because our flesh is suppressed. So because it was in a narrow place with the angel not going right and left, supernatural things were able to happen. Verse 29.
And Balaam said unto the ass, Because thou hast mocked me, I would there were a sword in mine hand, for now would I kill thee. And the ass said unto Balaam, Am not I thine ass, upon which thou hast ridden ever since I was thine unto this day? Was I ever wont to do so unto thee? And he said, Nay.
So remember, Balaam could not see the narrow way. But the Most High now is going to make him see the narrow way. And when he sees the narrow way, then his eyes will be open. Verse 31.
Then Yahuwah opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of Yahuwah standing in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand. And he bowed down his head and fell flat on his face.
And he fell flat on his face. So it is the Most High who opens us up our eyes. But when we are in the wide way, the flesh is ruling us, we will not see supernatural things. Our eyes cannot be opened. Verse 32.
And the angel of Yahuwah said unto him, Wherefore hast thou smitten thine ass these 3 times? Behold, I went out to withstand thee, because thy way is perverse before me. And the ass saw me, and turned from me these 3 times. Unless she had turned from me, surely now also I had slain thee and saved her life.
Continue.
And Balaam said unto the angel of Yahuwah, I have sinned, for I knew not that thou stoodest in the way against me. Now therefore, if it displease thee, I will get me back again.
So if we are not going down the narrow way, if we cannot see the narrow way, then we will do what? Like Balaam, we will sin. He said, I have sinned, for I knew not that thou stoodest in the way against me. So there's no way you can see unless you are going down the narrow way. In verse 35.
And the angel of Yahuwah said unto Balaam, Go with the men, but only the word that I shall speak unto thee, that thou shalt speak. So Balaam went with the princes of Balak.
So there is the only way you can truly get the instructions of the Most High is when you are going down the narrow path. That's it. Down the narrow way. Okay, so the book of Nazarene, chapter 9, page 96, 56. We must follow the narrow, dangerous way. Page 96, I said. 96. 56.
The things you surely do not need are comfort and content.
This is what we're talking about, the narrow way. The narrow way does not have anything to do with comfort and content. Continue.
While assurance and security open the gates to spiritual apathy. Enter by the narrow, unpretentious gate, for the road leading to the dark abyss has a wide road and attractive entrance.
Enter by the narrow, unpretentious gate, this gate without any pretension, without any lies. The true gate, the true way that we seek to follow here at Just a Word. This is the one way through which we must enter. For the road leading to the dark abyss has a wide road and attractive entrance. While, continue.
While the gate leading to immortality is austere and the road fraught with difficulties.
This is the burden of Yahusha. The narrow way. It is unpretentious. It is stern. And it is fraught with difficulties. While men will provide you with the wide road with attractive entrances. 57.
Beware of false prophets and those who would mislead you. For many seeking to promote their own ends walk the ways of righteousness, clothed in sheepskins, but are hypocrites, being ravening wolves within. Those who indicate an easy path are false guides, and those who say another can absolve them from the effects of their misdeeds expound an error.
Beware of false prophets and those who would mislead you. For many seeking to promote their own ends walk the ways of righteousness clothed in sheepskins. So they are false prophets who are hypocrites and ravening wolves seeking to take your possessions. They are those who indicate an easy path. And it says those who indicate an easy path are false guides. There's no such thing as an easy path. This is the burden of Yahusha. It is not easy. And those who say another can absolve them from the effects of their misdeeds expounds an error. So those who say all you have to do is believe in JC and you're good, this is an error. All right, so we're touching down now, almost to the end. Yep. What if we feel that the burden is too heavy? Matthew 7:21 to 23, that famous. We had to touch it today. What if we feel that the burden is too heavy?
Not everyone that saith unto me, Master, Master, shall enter into the kingdom of Shamayim, but he that doeth the will of my Father, which is in Shamayim. Many will say to me in that day, Master, Master, have we not prophesied in thy name? And in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works. And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity.
That is the danger if we feel that the burden is too heavy. Notice it says, not everyone that saith unto me, Master, Master, shall enter into the kingdom of Shamayim, but he that doeth the will of my Father, which is in Shamayim. And what is the will of my Father? Psalms 40 verse 8 tells us the will of our Father. I delight to do thy will, O my Alua. Yea, thy law is within my heart. His will for the new covenant is that the law be written in our heart. So for those who shed the burden and shed the burden of the Torah, these are those who are going to hear, depart from me, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. And iniquity, of course, is sin that you keep repeating over and over. And if you shed the Torah, if you throw the Torah away, the Torah shows us what sin is. When you throw the Torah away, you will not know what sin is. So you will be a worker of iniquity, committing sin over and over and over again. These are those who reject the Torah. These are those who are going to hear, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. Psalm 119. Let me get Psalm 119, 115. $115.
Depart from me, ye evildoers, for I will keep the commandments of my Elohim.
Hey. Depart from me, ye evildoers, for I will keep the commandments of my Allah. So the evildoers are tempting us not to keep the commandments of Allah. Brilliant. Psalms what? Psalms 101, verse 4. Oh, what am I doing here? 101. Go ahead.
A froward heart shall depart from me. I will not know a wicked person.
All right. Let me get back to where I was. Yeah. All right. So we're now in the book of the Nazarene, and this is the final place where we will be. If we feel the burden is too heavy, what is going to happen? Is it okay for us? We are at page, what is that?
73.
Chapter 17, page 73, or page 173.
No, page 73, verse 25.
Let me see something. Is that right? Page 73.
Yeah, it is. That's my burden is not light, must be shouldered with fortitude and courage.
Okay. But it wouldn't be page, it's probably probably chapter
Chapter 17, page 73.
Chapter 17 wouldn't be at page 73.
Yeah,
What verse is it?
This is verse 25. I have not come to bring peace, but chapter 7.
Oh, it's chapter 7.
Yeah.
All right, let me change it because this thing don't want to mislead people. All right, go ahead, please.
I have not come to bring shalom, but to put a sword into the hands of men, setting sons against their fathers, and daughters against their mothers. For nothing is worthy if a man will not fight for it.
Nothing is worthy if a man will not fight for it. No easy road. Continue.
Anyone following me will find enemies among his own kindred. And though he love his parents above all else, I will give him a cause which is greater. My burden is not light and must be shouldered with fortitude and courage. Those finding it too heavy must go elsewhere.
Oh. My burden, my burden is not light and must be shouldered with fortitude and
Courage.
courage. That means whatever the walk is, it's not going to be a comfortable walk in our old way of life. When you take on Yahusha, it is a willingness to live a brand new life. It is a new life, totally different from the one before, and one in which you are willing to be embarrassed, to be nothing, to be all of those bad things that Yahusha went through. Yes? If you find the burden too heavy, he says you must go elsewhere, which is what a lot of people do. They find other religions and they find other teachers. Or they become teachers to themselves or teachers among their own brethren, trying to jostle and find a comfort zone, a comfortable path away from the burden of Yahusha. Page
97.
97, 59 to 63.
Chapter 9.
Chapter 9, page 97. What did I say, 59?
Yeah, 59 to 63.
All right, this is the last one that we're going to be looking at, and just think about this one carefully. For those in the world who are seeking to whom everything seems to be too burdensome, let's see what it says.
Some hail me as their leader, thinking this will help them in the life to come, but it will not.
These are those who believe that as long as they follow JC, they are good. As long as they say they are Christian, they are good. As long as this, as long as that. As long as they say and put on the name Yahusha, they are good. Read what he says again.
Some hail me as their leader, thinking this will help them in the life to come, but it will not. Only those who wholeheartedly serve the cause and purpose of Yahuwah will enjoy this in full splendor.
Read it again.
Only those who wholeheartedly,
What does wholeheartedly mean?
with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul.
So read only again.
Only those who wholeheartedly serve the cause and purpose of Yahuwah will enjoy this in full splendor.
Continue.
Many who do things in my name will expect me to intercede for them. But to these I will say, I did not know you or authorize the statements you made. By your deeds shall you be judged.
Boy, it's so many. Read this again. Read it again. Many who do things.
Many who do things in my name will expect me to intercede for them. But to these I will say, I did not know you or authorize the statements you made. By your deeds shall you be judged.
Continue.
This does not apply to those who, hearing my words, put them into practice. For they are like the sensible man who built his house on a foundation of rock. The rain poured down and the floods rose. The wind howled above and beat against the house. But it did not collapse because it was set firmly.
So this is our choice. Are we going to hear his words and put them into practice? Or are we going to sidestep them? Are we going to just be hearers of the word and not doers of the word? That is the question. Verse 61.
But there will be many who, hearing these words of mine, will ignore them. And these may be likened to a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain poured down, the floods rose, the wind howled and beat against the walls, and the whole house collapsed.
Continue.
I herald the coming rule of Alua and a reborn world. I accept those who follow my way.
Who follow
My way.
the one way, the narrow way, the true way. And I will
lead them into their kingdom. I reject all those who are against my way.
So what we preach today should be clear, it should be plain, it should be unambiguous. The true way is to follow Yahusha in the light of the Torah. Those who reject reject this way, Yahusha says, I reject all those who are against my way. 63 and final.
I call upon men of goodwill to follow us, men who wholeheartedly desire the light and oppose the way of darkness.
Wholeheartedly oppose the way of the darkness of this world. These are those who are called to follow him, not those who just want to give a little to say they follow him. Wholeheartedly. That is why the way is narrow, because only those who wholeheartedly have the desire will go through the narrow way. Continue.
But the road may be long and beset by many foes.
The road is not going to be easy. This is the burden of Yahusha. Go ahead.
Yet have no fear of those who come with swords and fiery words. Their danger is apparent. Those who will be our undoing are the hypocrites and self-deceivers who pay lip service only and manipulate the words of the Torah to accord with their convenience. I tell you this, many will come, but few will be selected.
So these hypocrites and self-deceivers are the religious people who are not willing to bear the burden of Yahusha. But they do put on an appearance of righteousness, even because they are self-deceivers, even convincing themselves that they are righteous, that there's nothing wrong with what they are doing, deceiving themselves because they are not willing to take up the burden of Yahusha. If we are not willing to take up the burden of Yahusha, we will partake of those 8 things that we saw that blocked our way from the kingdom. We will block our own way from the kingdom. And add to this way, there are other ways in which we block our way. And that is 2 of them, stubbornness and rebellion. 2 more ways we block ours, and probably we'll deal with that some other time. Stubbornness and rebellion. Blocking our way because we are unwilling to bear the burden of Yahusha. The question each must ask, am I willing to bear the burden of Yahusha? When we answer that question, we might stop wasting our time in religion, might as well. If we are not willing to bear the burden, might as well we go out in the world and enjoy what is left of this world. Because when the Hamashiach comes, there are those dreadful words, I never knew you. He says, if you are not willing to bear his burden, you must go elsewhere. It's not I who is saying it. Hamashiach said it. So, many will come, but few will be
selected.
So what does that mean? As it goes back to the book of Romans, it says that it's not he that willeth or he that runneth, but Yahuwah that showeth mercy. And his mercy is going to be upon those of us who have the desire and are willing to bear the burden of his son, who is the firstborn among many brethren, and we are his brothers. As it says in 1 John 4:17, just remembering this one. As it says in 1 John 4:17, what does it say? What does it say?
Read it.
Yeah.
Herein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment. Because as he is, so are we in this world.
As he is,
so are we in this world.
That is how we have to be. That is the only way we can be bold in the day of judgment. As he is, so are we in this world. In this world. And that is the standard of righteousness. That is the one standard, not in our own righteousness, which is of the law. Are we able to be as Yahusha is in this world? If not, we need to start again. We need to go back to the beginning and deny ourselves and start the process all over again. All right? Do you have anything to say?
The books of Nazareth, page 175-64.
Book of the Nazareth, page
175, verse 64.
Are we willing to bear the burden? That is the question for us this week. Every week, the Most High gives us a trial, and then he tests us throughout the week. Let's see this week who is willing to bear the burden of Yahusha. Go ahead.
Instead of standing aside, wringing your hands and crying, woe, for the world is all wrong. Bestir yourselves, for I tell you, Yahuwah will not do things you are too apathetic to do for yourselves. They who desire to be with me in my kingdom must stand firm, holding fast to my cause through tribulation and trial.
Whoa. Read that last sentence again, please. They who desire.
They who desire to be with me in my kingdom must stand firm, holding fast to my cause through tribulation and trial.
That's it. It's not an easy road. That's the truth.
And in other words, the Most High is not going to do things that we need to do for ourselves, like denying ourselves or anything we're too apathetic, meaning things that we don't care enough to do for ourselves, to make restitution, to abide by the Torah. He's not going to make us do all these things, but instead we have to willingly choose him. It's a choice, isn't it? But then he said, choose life.
Yeah.
So he's not going to force you to choose life. It's a choice.
Yep. All right. So what's going on in the chat? Anyone here with something to say before we go to the chat? Any questions in the chat?
Yeah.
People, we have 50 people watching. We need some more likes. Only 22 likes. If you like what you're hearing, if you don't like it, don't like it. But if you like what you're hearing, please give us the likes, please. The algorithm depends on all of these interactions. That's how Babylon's system is run. All right. Let me see. Any questions?
There's a question by Jamaican Girl.
Let me just go through it. All right, here's a comment. This teaching is absolutely crucial in our salvation. I have been taught by Gentiles. This has been made clear to me that the teachings that I was hearing from Gentiles was not the teachings of the book. Obviously. And someone said, yes, Christianity teaches replacement theology. But all praises and esteem to the Most High for exposing lies and bringing forth the truth. Yada Yahuwah for this teaching today. This has been weighing on my mind for a while. All praises. I thank Yahuwah for the brethren to speak the truth in righteousness. Yada Yahuwah. What did Kassad say? What are you saying, Kassad? That's one of the reasons that man has hidden the books, a lot of the books, because they know that what they're up against, if they do the truth and not do the truth, they want everything smooth in their ears.
Somebody said, the flesh, the carnal nature. It is the insanity which keeps us bound up in sin that we know.
Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yafa, what are you doing here? But he said, in my name. So if that's not speaking to Christians, but to followers of the way, right? Because Christians do not call on his name. Yeah, when he says in my name, it means in his authority. But that's another thing. You know, the Most High will wink at our ignorance. We do not have the Most High's mind, so we do not know which of the Christians he is winking at. Because they might be ignorant and have a heart for the truth, but actually are in disobedience. Yeah. What's this? All right. Against the Grain is asking, are we actually in the new covenant now, or is that in the millennial kingdom? We still have teachers and we have to be studying to understand the Torah now. That is a teaching that has eluded many against the grain. Many have not understood nor seen this. And we have a teaching on this on the website that breaks down the precept to show we actually are in the new covenant, but the new covenant, the covenant is progressive. We enter into the covenant just as we did in the old covenant. The old covenant had two different aspects to it. Let me see if I can quickly put it a little synopsis together. Deuteronomy 29, verse 1. Let me get this thing off. This is something that has been taught by the Hebrew Israelites, much to error. Deuteronomy 29. Let me get, oh yeah. Let me get this.
Read Deuteronomy 29. 1.
Huh?
Read Deuteronomy 29, 1.
No, not yet. I want to get in Hebrews, yes. Now we start here. Hebrews 9:15. Read it, please.
And for this cause, he is the mediator of the New Testament.
Hold on. He is.
The mediator.
He is.
He is the
All right?
mediator.
He is present continuous tense. He did not say he will be the mediator of the New Testament. The New Testament is the new covenant. This word testament is covenant. For this cause, he is the mediator. He is, not he will be. That means he is right now, the mediator of the New Testament. Continue.
That by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance.
The promise of eternal inheritance. And we see that the testament must, for the testament to be enforced, there must be the death of the testator. And we know that he offered up himself for us. So he is the mediator of a New Testament, and let's see how that works. Let's go to Deuteronomy 29, verse 1. Read it, please.
These are the words of the covenant which Yahuwah commanded Moshe to make with the children of Yasharel in the land of Moab, beside the covenant which he made with them in Horeb.
Beside the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. When the children of Israel were going into the promised land in the first testament, the first covenant, they made 2 covenants. 2 covenants. And what does it say in the book of Ecclesiastes 1, verse 9? What does it say? Ecclesiastes 1, verse 9. Read, please.
The thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun.
Continue.
Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before us.
So we have to go back to the nature of the first covenant to see. And it says, these are the words of the covenant which Yahuwah commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, beside the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. So there are 2 covenants. He made the covenant on Sinai, and when they were ready to go into the land, he made another covenant with them. It is the same thing that is going to happen to us. And for the evidence, let's go first to Ezekiel 20, verse 30. How much again? I'll soon see it. Ezekiel 20, verse about 34.
Is it Ezekiel 20 or Jeremiah 31?
Ezekiel 20.
As I live, saith Yahuwah Eluah.
Hold on. Yeah, go ahead. Verse 33.
As I live, saith Yahuwah Eluah, surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you. And I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries wherein you are scattered with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out.
So who is gathering the people?
His messengers.
The Most High is gathering his people. But how does he gather his people? How does he gather his people?
Through his angels.
How does he gather his people?
Through his angels / messengers.
No. How will he gather his people in this, the new covenant, in this new wilderness? John 11, verse 50. Verse 50. Start at 50.
Nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and the whole nation perish not.
Mm-hmm.
And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahusha should die for that nation.
Verse 52.
And not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of Alua that were scattered abroad.
You see? Those who are gathered in Yahusha, those who are gathered for the second Exodus will be gathered together in one through Yahusha HaMashiach. You have to establish that. Okay? So let's get back to Ezekiel 33. So when he says, and I will bring you out from the people and will gather you out of these countries wherein you are scattered, these are people who are gathered through Yahusha HaMashiach. And how are you gathered through Yahusha HaMashiach if you have not been brought into the new covenant? Remember, he is the mediator of the new covenant. So you have to be in the new covenant to be gathered by him. But we're going to show you that. Go to verse 37.
And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant.
Into the
bond of the covenant.
This is what happened to the children of Israel. Yeah? They made the agreement on Sinai. They were passed through the rod. 40 years they went through the rod. Then, before they entered into Moab, they were brought into the bond of the covenant. Likewise, we are going to be in Hamashiach. And when it is time to go into the land, we will be brought into the bond of the covenant. That is when, go to Jeremiah 31. That is when this part will come in. Jeremiah 31. 31. About 34. Start from 33.
But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Yasharel. After those days, saith Yahuwah, I will put my Torah in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their Alua, and they shall be my people.
Verse 34.
And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahuwah, for they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, saith Yahuwah. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more.
This is when we are brought into the bond of the covenant. For right now, we are still teaching our neighbor, but when we are brought into the bond of the covenant, then we will no longer have to know our neighbor, because then we will all know Yahuwah. Yes? And for more evidence of that, we go to the verses that we love to use. Ephesians 1, starting from verse 12. We're going to see how the Messiah gave us the Ruach HaKadosh, the Holy Spirit, as a down payment until he comes to redeem us. Starting from verse 12.
That we should be to the praise of his splendor, who first trusted in Hamashiach, in whom ye also trusted, after that you heard the word of truth, the good news of your salvation, in whom also, after that you believed, you were sealed with that Ruach HaKadosh of promise.
You were sealed. This is when you go into the new covenant. When you believe, you were sealed with that Ruach HaKadosh. You enter into the covenant. But guess what? That's not the end of the covenant. You will have to go through the fire. Remember, Hamashiach came to give us Ruach HaKadosh and fire. So you have to go through the fire. And after you go through the fire, in the end, that is when you're going to be brought into the bond of the covenant. And verse 14 says,
which is the earnest of our inheritance, while the redemption of until the redemption of the purchased possession, unto the praise of his splendor.
So Ruach HaKadosh, or the Holy Spirit, is the earnest or the down payment. This is the word arabon. Earnest is the word arabon, which means a pledge that is part of the purchase money or property given in advance as security for the rest. So we are given the Holy Spirit to keep us until we are brought into the bond of the covenant when Hamashiach returns to redeem us. So yes, we are in the new covenant, but we have not yet been brought into the bond of the covenant. Okay? Huh? Nomsa Malamula, what's your email address? We have given our email address and we haven't received an email. Thank you for teaching, including daily ones on the Just the Word Radio. Nomsa Malamula, you can send a message on our website. There's a message box there. Just send a message through it and we'll get it. All right? So you leaving your email, we might not have it. You just send us a message through either justaword.org or justawordradio.com. All right? All right, so that's it. Where are we? Yeah, we live in that. Thank you. I pray that my family will open their ears to hear this truth and come out of Babylon. Yeah, the Yahuwah, all praise to Yahuwah for Sabbath teaching today. All right. All right, so shout out to everyone who is there. Yah is my light, my sultry sounds. Donald Dunn, Vuyo. Shalom. And who is that? PBE Tuya, Alexis, Joshua Riggs, Al Shaddai, Hassad, Yafa, Namsa, Radcliffe. Hey, Shalom Radcliffe. Akila, Elisheba. Who's that? Lioness Swan. Against the Grain. Who's that? Ruth Zuni. Jamaican Girl. Eliana. Isla. Is that Ayla or Isla?
Yes, Marika.
Mike Nor W. Shalom. All right. So that's it. Thank you all for watching. Please like if you have not yet liked. Okay. And please share, comment. I don't know why this thing is flickering. I have to try to fix it. But anyway, thank you all for watching us today. And until next time, shalom.